Electric cars aren't just the future, they're the present as well. With huge numbers of new electric models getting released all the time and an approaching ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars, the market is now swamped with EVs of all shapes and sizes, to suit many different lifestyles and budgets. But with so much choice around, which models stand out? In this video, we've looked at every fully electric car in every class to name an overall top 10. And we're also naming the EVs to avoid. But first, which new electric cars arriving this year are worth looking out for? Well, the new Renault 5 has recently been revealed and it's set to be an eye-catching, cheap, small electric car with a decent range and an optional baguette holder. And 2024 could well be the year of the cheap electric car, because a few more small, affordable options should be on the way too. In particular, the Dacia Spring and the Citroën EC3. For a long time, electric car pricing has been a big barrier to many people deciding to go electric. But hopefully, the next 12 months will broaden the options for those looking at the bottom end of the EV market. At the other end of the scale though, another hotly anticipated model for 2024 is the new fully electric Range Rover, which should arrive later this year. It definitely won't be cheap, but considering how impressive the fuel-powered Range Rover is, the prospect of an electric take on this luxury icon could get footballers and other VIPs very excited. But while there are lots of EVs to get excited about, there are some available already which are actually best avoided. And taking into account all of the EVs around now, there are a couple which stand out for the wrong reasons. The Ford Mustang Mach-E was launched a few years ago, and while it comes with a lot of equipment and is a relatively large electric SUV, it has so-so build quality inside and a very abrupt ride, which makes most journeys in it pretty tiring. Even some hurried updates to the car haven't fixed things to a noticeable extent. In the competitive electric SUV market, there are a lot of options which are better. The Lexus UX offers great build quality inside. Oh, that is it for the positives. Unfortunately for the Japanese manufacturer, this is one of the least recommendable electric cars around, because it has cramped rear seats and a tiny boot, even though it's not a particularly small car, and on top of that, it has a terrible electric range. You'll be lucky to get 170 miles in cold conditions. And it can only rapid charge using an old-fashioned CHAdeMO connector, accepting a maximum charging rate of just 50 kilowatts. So the very fastest it can get a 10 to 80% charge is 1 hour and 30 minutes, much slower than most new EVs. But the very worst thing about it is the price. You can spend up to £57,000 on the UX300e, and for that money, basically any other electric choice makes more sense. Anyway, moving on now to the electric cars that are worth shouting about for good reasons. And kicking off our top 10 is the BMW i7. It's an electric luxury limo which has an astonishing range of tech, including an optional 31-inch 8K cinema screen. It truly does treat its passengers like royalty. It's not just incredible to sit in, it's brilliant to drive as well, offering a massive range, impressive handling for such a huge car, punchy performance, and sublime levels of refinement. But really, this is still an EV catering for VIPs sat in the back. And if you're looking for the ultimate in electric luxury, there's nothing better to be driven in. While it is fantastic, it is rather expensive though, costing more than any other car in this list. From ultra luxury to ultra value with the bargain-priced MG4. As we've already said, 2024 could be the year of the cheap electric car, with models like the Citroën EC3 and Dacia Spring set to hit the market. But they've got a big job on their hands to overthrow the current king of the low-end electric car market. The MG4 is available in a few different forms, including range-topping versions offering a massive range and supercar-slaying straight-line performance. But even though the most expensive versions of the MG4 are still good value, relative to their rivals, it's the cheapest versions which are the most recommendable. The MG4 SE is the cheapest car in this list by some way and still offers a respectable range, decent ride comfort, and impressive practicality. It's not the best electric car around, but when it comes to value, right now, it can't be beaten. The BMW iX3 is a great buy if you're looking for a big electric SUV. It's good to drive, practical, it offers a better electric range than other posh electric SUVs that it's up against, which also cost more money. And in an era of irritatingly glitchy touchscreens and no physical controls to control the air conditioning, the iX3, refreshingly, comes with high-quality buttons and dials and an infotainment system which is easy to use, packed with features, and overall, tough to beat. Before the Porsche Taycan, some people may have doubted whether there would ever be an electric car that could really be engaging and interesting to drive. But the German manufacturer delivered an absolutely top-draw product which to this day is the unbeaten benchmark for electric car handling. It's the coupe version which offers the outright ultimate EV driving experience, but the slightly more practical Cross Turismo is the more compelling package. It takes the phenomenal Taycan recipe, but adds a bigger boot, roomier rear seats, and greater visibility. A facelift has recently been announced which promises to make the Taycan even better, and we are certainly looking forward to driving it. You might not be very familiar with Genesis, but if you're looking for an electric SUV, the Genesis GV60 should be one of the main contenders to consider. Genesis is the premium arm of the Hyundai Group, similar to what Audi is to Volkswagen. And the GV60 is based on the brilliant Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. The Genesis stands out from those other two, and indeed most other electric cars, by offering a truly exquisite interior. It's full of plush materials, it offers rock-solid build quality, and the crystal ball-style gear selector makes it feel like a high-end concept car. The pricing has gone up since it first went on sale, but if it's in your budget, this is a fantastic electric SUV. But if you want a smaller, suave electric SUV that still offers a swish interior for less money than the GV60, the Volvo EX30 could be the car for you. It is Volvo's smallest SUV, but it packs a big punch. The interior is properly special. Build quality is fantastic, the materials look and feel expensive. This is a really great EV interior. And the rest of the car impresses as well. Underneath though, the EX30 shares many of its parts with the Smart #1. And the Smart offers a more user-friendly dashboard layout and more flexible seating. The cheaper versions of the Volvo still have great interiors, but are on a par with the similarly excellent #1. Which means because the Smart has a slight edge in a few areas, it's ultimately the better pick overall. It is nothing like any Smart that's come before it, thankfully, because while Smarts of old were impractical and uncomfortable, this new #1 boasts a spacious interior and an impressively smooth ride. As we've already alluded to, the Kia EV6 is related to the GV60 in the same way the #1 is to the EX30. But while the GV60's pricing has jumped up quite a bit recently, the EV6 is still brilliant value. It offers the best combination of great battery range, fast charging, a fine ride and handling balance, and generous equipment levels, all for a competitive price, compared to the Ioniq 5 and the GV60. Our favourite version of the EV6 is the rear-wheel drive GT line model, which has a single 226 brake horsepower electric motor driving the rear wheels and an official range of up to 328 miles between charges. The rear seat space is better than the GV60 as well, and it's not like the Genesis is stingy in that regard. Both cars are brilliant, but it's the price of the EV6 which puts it higher in this list. At number 2, the VW ID Buzz. There are plenty of big and practical cars in this list, but nothing comes close to offering the practicality of the vast Buzz. It has an enormous boot, cavernous rear seat space, and numerous other helpful features. There's set to be a 7-seat version joining the lineup soon as well. And the Buzz has plenty of other strings to its bow. It's a nice electric car to drive with a controlled and cushioned ride, along with nicely weighted and accurate steering. But the very best electric car you can buy right now is the Tesla Model 3. It's proved to be a truly groundbreaking electric car, which has been around for a while now, but had a pretty major revamp in the last year. There were changes to its looks, it got a longer range, the refinement was improved. The adjustments weren't completely revolutionary, but it made an already fantastic electric car a little bit better. The thing that really stood out for this facelift though was the fact that even though it improved, it got cheaper as well. A price cut like this is virtually unheard of in the car world, and cements the Model 3's position as the very best electric car that you can buy. And don't forget, the Model 3 gives you a huge advantage over all non-Tesla electric cars because it gives you access to the brilliant Tesla supercharger network. Some stations in the UK are now open to non-Teslas, but it's not many and it costs more for them. So if you buy a Model 3, it's not just impressive compared to its rivals in terms of things like the ride, handling and infotainment, it should be one of the easiest electric cars to live with as well. So those are the EVs to look out for coming soon, the worst ones you can buy right now, and the best ones around. What do you make of our top 10? Tell us in the comments below. And to see lots more roundups like this, as well as new car reviews and features, hit the subscribe button to be the first to see all of our releases. Thanks for watching.